Hello everybody, this is Heat Override and I'm ready to bring the pain for you this week. I got Mini Override with me and we're finishing our little conclusion of last week when we did our top 5 EU and movie Jedis of all time. We're going to do our top 5 EU movies, villains of all time. You better be ready to bring the pain because I know we are. Ooh yeah! Let it out! What's up, Minnie?
Hello.
Bring the pain! Yeah, we got this going. So, just as stated, we're going to do our top 5 EU villains and top 5 movie villains of all time in the Star Wars universes, wherever you may exist. So maybe you hate the movies, or maybe you don't know about the EU, but this might give you a good stepping stone to step on and get going in that direction into the expanded universe. Maybe you only knew the movies. There's so many books to read, so many villains to be had. I mean, this doesn't even scratch the surface. You know what I'm talking about, Minnie?
Yeah.
What? I mean, what am I talking about, Minnie? I'm talking about villains.
I'm talking about villains and Sith.
And bad guys. So, a lot of people, of course, aren't going to make the list, so we're not going to talk too much about them. Again, you can do your research. So, we're sitting here on the eve of the Super Bowl. What's that mean to you?
It's going to be fun.
Yeah? You don't really care about it, though, right?
I mean, my team isn't in there.
Yeah, mine ain't either.
Well, it'll still be fun to watch.
Yeah, it should be. It should be really good. It should be fun. And I think the whole thing that's going to come back to it is that we'll talk about that maybe a little later because, you're still young, but you watch football with us because we're a sports family, and that's what we do.
Hell yeah!
But without further ado, let's get to it! Ooh, yeah! Let's start out with our top 5 movie villains of all time. You're the guest, Mini Override. Who's your number 5?
Captain Phasma.
Captain Phasma!
Ooh, yeah!
Alright, so tell me what you like about her in the movies.
Oh, boy.
Come on.
She's tough.
Yeah?
And then...
She's a little turncoat on her own team at the end, though.
Yeah.
She wasn't... I mean, Phasma, really? This should have been in your EU list. Phasma was a punk in the movies. You rarely saw her. She just walked around, and then, Finn dispatches her.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your pick, though.
No.
Oh, you could have put Boba Fett there.
No.
Okay. My number 5 is Kylo Ren, Sir Ben Solo.
What?
Yeah.
I thought he was your favorite.
Oh, man. I mean, we're talking movies only. He's number 5. Kylo Ren. I mean, I love this character. He was raw. He was strong with the Force. And this whole thing he had with Rey where he kept passing things and grabbing things from where they were at, being able to see where they were at. That was kind of a really crazy Force attribute. I want to say I link it to, Nightmare on Elm Street when they were able to pull Freddy from the dream into the real world where they can hurt him. What you think about that?
What?
What I just said. I talked about Freddy Krueger. And
I haven't watched any of the
I know that,
movies.
but I said, did you find it weird how they could pass each other things?
Yeah, it was weird.
But that was cool, too.
I'm just wondering how they did that.
I don't know. That's why I compared it to Nightmare on Elm Street, because that's ultimately how they killed Freddy, is they pulled him from the dream world into the real world, and then he could be killed. All right, well, Kylo Ren, I mean, he was dark. He had his Bendemption at the end, if that's what you want to call it. He supported Rey in his quest. And the whole time, you could almost say that he always said that, he knows what he needs to do. And maybe that was his plan the whole time. I think a lot of people overlooked that. And I know some people give it credit, but for me, That's what made him a great character. I did have Boba Fett here, but I just thought Kylo was a lot more deeper character. Again, more screenplay. Molly, that's what I'm talking about. Just because Phasma looks cool and she does some cool things and you read some books on her, movie speaking wise, she was very minimally used character. So when you make your list, I'm not going to tell you, I know you love Phasma, but I can't see having Phasma. I can think of a lot of other bad guys that are way cooler than her. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that armor and looking up to her, hey, is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right. What's your number 4 movie villain of all time?
Count Dooku.
That's that. All right. Well, then let's just go this. My number 4 is Count Dooku too.
Hell yeah!
Yeah. So we'll start with you. What did you like about him?
Well, that he has lightning and he has a lightsaber like the Emperor.
Yeah. And he has that hilt. It's all, all turned a little. It's more of a fencing style. But yes, he did have force lightning, and that made him strong too because he ultimately was one of the more powerful Jedis, and they said when he left the Jedi Council that it really broke them because he just couldn't stand by that anymore, and then eventually, he became, how strong he became. But he was eventually also betrayed because the Emperor wanted somebody younger. And, the Emperor used, between Darth Maul and Count Dooku and General Grievous, he had some pretty powerful right-hand men in his possession. But each one of them, they all died. All of them died. So, and it's crazy is Obi, he didn't really kill Darth Maul, but he did defeat him in that battle in Episode 1. But Count Dooku did handle Obi-Wan. Like, Obi-Wan did not get Count Dooku at all. Like, for some reason, that was just where Obi-Wan just wasn't powerful enough at that time, or if he always secluding himself and just working on his weapon, his fighting styles, that he just wasn't as skilled as Dooku. But Dooku was very powerful. And that's why Obi kind of really got whooped by him twice, because Anakin killed him in Episode 3. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, he commanded the droid armies. You go into the Clone Wars, which, we're going to talk about that here. Season 7 coming up soon. Just a lot of good stuff right there. But definitely a villain that was in enough movies to prove that he was worthy of the 4th rank. Number 3. Who's your number 3?
Kylo Ren.
All right, so what do you like about Kylo Ren?
That he was dark.
Uh-huh.
And then, he was going through the phases where, taking his helmet off and then on, then gluing it back on, and going through, bad and good. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He was constantly torn back and forth. And really, that was a really great observation you said right there.
Yeah!
About the way he used the helmet throughout the series. And Snoke was like, what do you need a helmet? You hide behind there. And, and it made him angry, but then he put it on because that's who he wanted to be. He wanted to be ruthless. He wanted to make sure that people were scared of him.
Hell yeah!
Okay, go on.
And his lightsaber's cool.
He does have probably one of the coolest lightsabers. And honestly, I think it's one of the most practical lightsabers because you're able, because of that being, having a hilt in a way, you can block lightsabers sliding all the way down so he could lock it in right there. It was really cool. And then he used it perfectly in Force Awakens when he turned it, and he would, when he in the final battle with Rey and Finn. So, yeah, I like it. My number 3 is Darth Maul. One movie, comes back in the Clone series, becomes hateful when his brother and him go to confront Palpatine. But let me tell you something. Just Darth Maul straight up wore out Qui-Gon Jinn because of how fast he was, how stealthy he was. He was just a lot to handle. In the end, it took an inspired Obi-Wan to overcome him But that's because he became cocky and he didn't play around. He should have just finished Obi when he was hanging down there instead of, kind of going back. And he let his guard down, and that's how Obi got him. But Darth Maul, when I first seen him in episode 1, was probably like the craziest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, oh my God. Like, look at him. Like, the horns, Zabrak, coming from the night, sisterhood, being a night brother. Like, this is insane. What did you think about Darth Maul?
He wasn't too scary. A lot of people were scared of him, though. Mm-hmm. In the movies.
Well, yeah.
Double-bladed lightsaber.
Yeah, his double-bladed lightsabers is one of the coolest lightsabers around.
Yeah, and I liked his horns.
His horns, yeah. In Star Wars Galaxies, when you select Zabrak, you can actually make the horns different. Yeah, I know. I've been trying to install this game, man, and it's got this Windows update, and there's just, I don't know what's going on.
Hell yeah!
Well, we got to get that fixed so that we can play some more Star Wars Galaxy. All right, Minnie, give me your number 2.
Boba Fett.
Okay, there you go. Boba Fett. Tell me about him.
I like his jetpack.
Uh-huh.
He's a Mandalorian.
Yeah, we love Mandalorians now, don't we?
Yeah.
Keep talking.
And I like how, he fought a lot. And he got out of the creature thing.
The Sarlacc.
Yeah,
the Sarlacc
creature
pit.
thing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Flamethrower.
Yeah, he had the flamethrower.
So
it's cool to play in the video games. He's cool in the Clone Wars.
So, if we get cornered, he gets flamethrower.
That's right. Great pick. My number 2, Darth Vader. I love him. Who doesn't love Darth Vader? Is in all those movies, becomes Darth Vader, and of course, Episode 3. Then you see him at the end of Rogue One, just ruthless. We all know the comics, just ruthless, but, that's more, again, the EU fantasy worlds. That's that universe right there. But Darth Vader in the movies was just awesome. What he went through, and then finally turning in Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Man, what did you think about Darth Vader?
I thought that he was mean.
Mm-hmm.
He was cool.
Yeah.
And he fought very hard.
Yeah, he did. He did fight Obi-Wan, to the end. But he became overconfident, and that's why he lost. He had the lower ground. I said he had the lower ground.
Not the high ground.
What?
All right. So, what do we got next? Your number 2? Oh, you did your number 2, okay. So we're on number 1 now. Who's your number 1?
Darth Vader.
I know, I just had this.
Okay,
that's
so
why.
these two, I like them both. And, when they're doing the podcast, I changed them. So Darth Vader is my second one. And then Boba Fett was my first. And I was like, I do like Darth Vader a little more. I like them both.
Yeah, just both favorite characters. Great. Really took a lot. Empire Strikes Back, they're the reasons why Han gets frozen, they get caught. Cloud City, the whole turn with Lando or Mr. Londo. We call him Londo sometimes when we're playing Battlefront 2. It's just funny. I don't know. It's weird stuff we do. But yes, Darth Vader again. Just an excellent villain. He's like the greatest villain of all time, really. He's just nobody was ever cooler. Just the voice, James Earl Jones. The mask. Even in the Spaceballs movie when they made him Dark Helmet. Just still the mask. It was just crazy. But that was a whole another movie. My number 1's Palpatine. Nobody was mean. He was just mean. He was arrogant. He hid behind his true agenda. The Jedi couldn't sense him. He walked right next to all those Jedi. Not one Jedi could ever sense Palpatine. How beautifully cloaked his Sith powers were. And that's what made him such a great villain. And then even coming back in 9, again, always having a different plan. Always outthought. He didn't rely on machines until the end. He was just powerful. He handled Yoda. he zapped Yoda. We know y'all electrocuted a lot of people in these movies during our movie list when we were talking about all that, and we brought up that this guy just shocks everybody. You know, he's that shock and awe dude, man. Palpatine. The Skywalker saga was truly about one villain, and the villain that it was about was Palpatine, manipulating midichlorians to make things. You know, the scandalous things that had led to Rey, and just the killings and the just overpowering, and then using Count Dooku and Darth Maul and Vader, and ultimately trying to use Kylo Ren, and then even in the EU, he comes back when he jumps into a clone after he's killed by Vader on the Death Star, and he turns Luke eventually because he's so freaking powerful because he comes in a new body. Like, that is a straight badass. But that's all EU right there. But in the movies, I mean, his presence is felt. He's in all 6 movies, and then he comes back in 9 movies. He's the only person that has a presence in almost every single movie. Maybe not so much in A New Hope, but he was in it. But at the same time, this whole thing, man, Palpatine, baddest villain in the movies.
Ooh, yeah.
All right, let's move along. You're up. Top 5 expanded universe villains of all time. Now remember, mini override is 8. So a lot of the villain books she's read has been very limited. So that's where her like Phasma stuff comes from and things like that.
Hell yeah!
So let's get to it. Who's number 5?
Jango Fett.
Jango Fett. Yeah, because you probably read a lot about him in the Clone Wars,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
There you go. And, and that's, again, goes back to the Fetts. Your movies surround one Fett, the other one's going to be there. A lot of people like Jango. Also, he had the 2 double blasters. People want that in Battlefront 2. They just want that double blaster. And since now they got those, the droid or, that option that you can do it, yeah, that's it. My number 5, do you want to add more about Jango? Come on, talk it. Talk it out.
Well, I think they should add him in Battlefront.
Mm-hmm.
And also, he did get his head cut off.
He
Literally.
did.
With his mask on. And...
Good old Mace Windu, huh?
And, yeah.
Yeah, that's hey, and again, he was in the movies, so that, and his fight with Obi-Wan on Geonosis, a lot of people say that's like one of the best fight scenes ever because it really shows how bounty hunters were able to hold their own against the Jedi.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite fight scenes.
Yeah. So my number 5, when we talk EU, I've read some books, so one of the baddest badasses in the expanded universe is the Yuuzhan Vong. Now, there was a lot of supreme leaders with the Yuuzhan Vong, but for a lot of you people who do not know what the Yuuzhan Vong is, it was a group of aliens who invaded the Star Wars galaxies after crossing over from a neighboring galaxy in their ships. So, that being said, another thing that they possessed is that they were almost immune to Jedi powers. So they couldn't be affected by the Jedi. So the Jedis actually had to fight them like warriors, which over all the books and everything, you just see their brutality, how mean they were. I mean, they ultimately, in the EU, the way they just show up, blowing things up, blowing Chewie up, like, that's insane. These people were ruthless. And that's why when you get into reading some books, you got to get into those people. Like, man, they are awesome. And they're brutal. And that's like the Jaina and Jason Solo, Luke Skywalker. Like, there's a whole bunch of things. But Luke was almost tempted. Jason, at the time before he became Titus after all this, he was tempting Luke to use the dark side because they were losing that last fight. Jaina was hurt, and Mara Jade was going down, and then finally Luke just bested the best by always trusting in himself. That's why EU Luke was my number 1. Okay, number 4. Who do you got?
Star Killer.
Ha! Number 4 is Star Killer too. Okay, so she definitely loves Mr. Malin Garrett.
What?
Galen Derrick. I needed like a little problem there. It was like, oh, what? I can't talk all of a sudden. Yeah. I don't know what to do now. I'm going to have to talk with it. Yeah. So, go on Star Killer.
We actually have the game. Mm-hmm. And we watched on YouTube, like, the
videos.
Yeah, the videos.
While, playing the game. But, got to go back and watch the videos. Go on. Tell us about it.
And he literally pulled a
Star Destroyer
out of the sky.
Yeah, that is one of the greatest feats. A lot of people go back to the Star Killers, but even if you go back into the novels, when his feud with Vader finally comes to an end, a lot of people think that he was a clone. At the end of this, just going right into my number 4, of course, being Star Killer as well. Star Killer was just an amazing character. He's so deep, and there were so many people that were just trying to pull him. The story of Force Unleashed is amazing. Like, it shows the tears, and it shows that he goes on, and, there's a future, Juno Eclipse. Things go from there, but he ultimately bested Vader. And again, this is going on when all the other things are going on. So, Vader's just missing for a while because he's getting caught up. This is insane. And that, the fact that he served him up to the Emperor but then played him back showed that Vader really was just about torturing him kind of in a way and using him to hurt. But hey, in the end, Starkiller, he did what he had to do. He was amazing. And he was a great Jedi, and a lot of people, the way he used the double lightsabers, and a lot of people who played, Force Unleashed and saw these scenes and just thought, wow, how powerful. We talked about Siri and Cal from, Fallen Order, how powerful they are going into these things, especially Vader knowing that Siri was alive after she kind of came at him. I don't see how Vader, this story has to go on because, Vader is a straight, he was coming after Jedi at that point. So now that those two were exposed, I would only assume that Vader would be hunting them down in the future of maybe a Fallen Order 2 or an expansion of that. Number 3. Who's your number 3?
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul. Go on. Tell it, because I know he comes from the Clone Wars.
Yeah. In the books, he's very deep in it.
Mm-hmm.
He fights a lot in them.
Yeah.
And he just really likes to fight.
Yeah, and then he gets legs, starts going after people. He's a little senile in the Clone Wars seasons, though. He's kind of demented, but, he ultimately faces off against Palpatine and, kind of does his own thing. And kind of, he really, other than just getting chopped in half, that really just sent him down because it made him useless. Sorry about that.
But he would have more lightsabers.
Yeah. Yeah, he would if he, stayed in spider form. My number 3 is Darth Revan. He was up on my EU list. What do you got to say?
I knew he was going to be on there. I was going to put him on there, but I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't read the Knights of the Old Republic. Well, I played the game, and earlier we found the Jedi Academy game upstairs in the attic, didn't we?
Yeah.
Untouched. Yep. So it makes you just want... But we want some Star Wars Galaxies. We're getting back into that. Hell yeah! So, yes, Darth Revan. The way that him and Darth Malak just were insanely unstoppable during this time period of the Knights of the Old Republic. And a lot of people fell in love, like Starkiller. Revan was in Knights of the Old Republic. So people just fell in love with him right there, and they got more out of him. Even leading into where the Knights of the Old Republic went to Darth Nicholas, which is, an honorable mention. He's great. But I mean, and Darth Nihilus with that power, being able to just suck whole planets dry. I mean, what? What? And, another thing going back is, they when he was eventually caught by the Jedi strike team and hurt bad and they wiped him, it gave him his new memory, new direction, and he was so powerful. He did so much actually for both sides. Like, honestly, if you want to say he balanced it really. But hey, there's your argument for the EU. Oh yeah! Who's your number 2?
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, because she reads the books about Kylo Ren. Yeah, well, go ahead, tell about it.
He's kind of dark in them.
Yeah. Because, you get more backstreet. Like right now with the comics, the rise of Kylo Ren. Yeah, we haven't read those yet, but there's only a couple. We're going to have to get those. But that's going to be a lot of background story. Especially, with the Knights of Ren being a topic that a lot of people are delving into right now, especially with, earlier, me and Molly were looking at our Star Wars encyclopedia, so it was kind of fun. But of course, there's more to be added since then.
I am wondering about if he was a Jedi during a kid. Or what was his backstory when he was a kid?
I mean, there's a lot, because, that's something that they didn't do. And if they did that, then they would have to go, this is really like the Mandalorian timeline. So, that being said, that's where you got to go with it. It would be probably right after the Mandalorian, and then we would need a comic series right around then. So, a comic series about what Leia and Han Solo were doing leading up to Force Awakens would be the only way you could really get him in through there. And then maybe a little bit of what happened at the Jedi Temple with Luke and things like that. A little more backstory instead of what the movies provided for us. Or the books, if you read the books as well. But yeah, my number 2 is Darth Vader. I mean, again, going to the Star Killer series, of course, reading the Vader comics, of course, reading about Vader, of course, reading all of the episodes, of course. Darth Vader is just straight up. There's, a lot of people are going to probably kill me.
What?
Probably kill me for having Darth Vader so high on this list. I mean, could Vader have gotten the Yuuzhan Vong? Would he have just battled through them? I think Starkiller could. I think Revan could have too, especially about. But straight up, I think Vader would still be intimidating to these people. Again, even like Darth Krayt, Bane, Zar Kun, Kaitis, his grandson, Dirge, the Grand Inquisitor. These people, they were strong. They were strong in their own ways, but there was a lot of ways that Vader could have been stronger that just was cut short by what he was subdued to. There could be a whole nother thing. And again, go back to the dark, when he was looking for relics in his comic line. So, yeah, that's why. I mean, that was deep. That's what everybody wanted to know. What did Darth Vader do? We need more. We need, we got a little bit with Rogue One, but between Rogue One, episode 3 and episode 4, what did Vader do other than those comics? Let's get a Vader movie.
Hell yeah!
All right, who's your number 1?
Darth Vader.
Go on, tell me.
He's powerful, and he's very deep and brutal in the books and comics.
Yeah.
And
good. You got this.
He really likes just going through the rebels and chasing after Jedis.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to say that him showing up at the end of Fallen Order again, like we were talking earlier, showed that he's just crazy. He was hunting Jedi. Keep talking, Minnie.
He just wanted to hunt Jedi, get them all over with.
Yeah, he really fell into some hate. He really, it was just like what he did with, he killed younglings. So, my number 1, straight up, it's the Queen of the Stars, the bringer of chaos, Abeloth! Ooh, yeah! I'll tell you, I talk about Abeloth all the time, man. But after she drank from that well of power and she bathed in that pool of knowledge, she became more powerful than anything. It took multiple people fighting multiple avatars to defeat her. And that didn't even defeat her. She's going to come back in another 1,000 years. It always happens. The Killik always record what she's talking about. The Killik are those bug people that record all of time and all of destiny. But, again, Abeloth could fight. Abeloth just let Luke chop things off of her. But she was taking over, Jedis. Like, she could take over anybody by just putting her force into them. And her character was beautiful. Like, she did everything exquisitely. When she was ruthless, she was more ruthless than anything has ever been. I mean, I'll say it right now. Abeloth literally could probably kill Crate, Bane, Zorakun. She wouldn't even do it. Like, she just was so powerful. Now, EU Luke was extremely powerful, and he really couldn't stop her. She had him at peril so much, and had him. She literally almost broke his leg, and he had to mend from that and that took Luke out for a while during the Fate series because how powerful she was, and then her and her being trapped by the ones. Just so much power, and then eventually so much hatred, but so much to want to rule the galaxy. She almost pulled it off. In that. But hey, that's why I think she's one of the most intriguing characters that I'd love to see in a movie, because this is where Rey could play the part of Jaina, but now in Jaina fought an avatar. It was the computer. But, I mean, she was just ruthless. What was kind of like the Emperor at the time, because of course the Sith planet was found, and all the Sith were there. Well, she went there and killed all the Sith. And then, when they were on Coruscant, the Sith leader went to go pay her a visit because he didn't really know that was her. And then what the funny part about it is once he visited her, she ripped his head off, and then she went and she made this other, you gotta just read the books, it's really deep, but she placated this other one. The other Sith was working with the other Sith, and she showed him his head. So she literally was ruthless. She did whatever she wanted, and she got her way.
Her face is scary. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like a Joker ripped all the way. Well, I mean, it was almost like she was like Ghastly Spectre form, because she was so strong, but she could be physical. And honestly, she just really wanted to, she didn't want to hurt Luke. She wanted to rule with Luke. She wanted to be next to Luke, and she was way too powerful, and of course we all know she had to go away. But that's my number one. You got anything else to say about her?
No.
All right. I hope everybody loved it. I mean, those are our opinions. Everybody has different loves. Yes, Crate would probably be a number one for somebody else. Bane, the rule of two. Dirge was a badass too. I mean, really, these are you could bring up like Snoke, but Snoke really, we didn't know enough about him. It doesn't matter how powerful he was. We don't care. I don't. So that being said, I mean, what's up about this Obi-Wan series? Being delayed right now. Weren't you looking forward to that?
Yeah.
It being delayed, what's that make you think? Do you think it's going to happen, or do you think it'll come back at a good time?
I think it'll come back at a good time. Maybe they ran out of ideas.
Couldn't make 10 episodes, right? Because they don't want to, they just can't really give it. Plus, I mean, they're doing the Clone Wars. We're going to get Obi-Wan. So, but we just lead right into that. Clone Wars Season 7. This looks good. After seeing that trailer, this pretty much is going to lead up to Attack of the Clones in Order 666, maybe. I mean, this could be really deep. It's gonna be like what other people were going through when Order 666 was happening. Maybe not, maybe a little before then. But seeing that, I definitely know that it's going right up to Attack of the Clones. This is really going to give us a lot of answers. Hopefully, I mean, maybe it'll answer, with Ahsoka. But I mean, Rebels answered some of that too. But I know it's going to be crazy. And where do you want to see Star Wars go from here?
I like it where it is.
Yeah? You like it?
Yeah.
You like the streaming? So you're not even really thinking of a movie right now?
Well, I am thinking about maybe... Okay, probably not, but maybe... I don't know.
I'm just happy with The Mandalorian.
Maybe Rey finding her parents.
But her parents are dead.
Yeah, but maybe she'll go on adventures. Maybe
you just want to see more. I see what you're talking about. Sounds like more books, maybe a series. Like Rey needs a series, but I don't know if it's going to really happen. So, but maybe it will, and we don't know. And right now, George Lucas is talking about he wants full power if he wants to do a Star Wars. So there can be a lot of great things to happen in the future. But that's why we always love being taken to a galaxy far, far away.
Oh, yeah!
All right, well, I think we did it. I hope all of you enjoyed the list. Comment below, like, follow, and share. And make sure you go to my Spreaker page and like me there too, because that's the place that I get to all the other places like iHeart. And then I get to Spotify, and I get to all you people on Google Podcasts, and I get to you people on Apple Podcasts. That's how I get to you, is through Spreaker. So I need those likes there. And leave comments. If you leave... Go to my Facebook page or go to my Twitter page at Bring the Pain 8, the number 8, like the infinity sign, because I'm a heat over it, yeah.
What?
You got anything to add, Minnie?
No.
So get over there, get those things done. Support, I will do your shows. Remember, in the end, we always got to bring the pain.